It is 9:30 in Bakwasupe and in almost everywhere in Cameroon, of course. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the morning news. This is Prime Flash coming to you live from My Media Prime Television, and I am Dolly Ngonde for presentation. We begin the news on a sad note as at least 2 women have lost their lives following a road accident that occurred here along the Bonamusa stretch of our road. The women who were said to have been trading in the sale of roast groundnuts by the roadside were only settling down to begin their businesses before they were met with the unfortunates. And take a look at this report done for us by Alain Summer.
Sunday, January 8, 2023 was a very sad day for traders of the Bonamusa market, Douala, especially those who sell fried bottled groundnuts, said mostly to be Central African women now residing in Douala, economic capital of Cameroon, fighting for their daily bread. 2 of theirs met their untimely death around 6 a.m. just beside the road opposite the Bonamusa market, right in front of Congel Camp. The accident, which has been blamed on recklessness, occurred when the driver of this grey pickup vehicle lost control of the steering and bumped to these groundnut sellers, destroying their goods and everything on his way. He was only stopped by a heavy-duty truck parked on the side. Unfortunately, one of the victims died on the spot, while the other was rushed to the Dado District Hospital, where she later on gave up the ghost. The mortal remains of the 2 victims were deposited in the Dado Hospital mortuary pending burial. Meanwhile, the driver, who is responsible for the tragedy, was drunk at press hour and almost escaped on the bike after committing the atrocity, but was caught by a military man dressed in civil wear in the area, alerted by a lady on her way to the Catholic church just beside. He is currently under detention at the Bonamusa Brigade, Douala, awaiting trial as investigations go on.
A sad one there. May the souls of the faithful departed rest in perfect peace. And in a similar note, vehicle owners in Yaoundé have been forming endless queues at various filling stations since the night of January 8th this year. And since the night of January 8th this year, scarcity is once more felt in the of nation's political capital, scarcity of fuel. And in the following report ahead, we are told those who came to buy fuel with 5,000 francs could not be served due to the limited supply. Take a listen to this.
Information of first scarcity in Yaoundé began circulating first on social media with images of people queuing up at filling stations. But to our greatest surprise, this is the reality. There is scarcity of fuel once again in the capital city of Yaoundé. I arrived here at about 9 o'clock. I'm here to purchase fuel. I'm a bike rider who has come from far, and I've passed through other stations that there's no fuel. But we've been asked to wait, so we are here waiting, keeping our fingers crossed. However, we inquire further. We are also told not all the tanks are empty, but who gets served with the limited stock? I'm here to buy fuel, and it's more than an hour since I came here, and I've not yet been served. But we hope this situation gets fixed by tomorrow. However, there's fuel, but we've been told it won't be sold to people who want to buy for more than 5,000 francs. Nonetheless, it should be recalled that the last time a similar fate happened in Cameroon was last year, about 5 months back, which almost became a national crisis. With this, it is hoped that the situation gets fixed before the prolongation.
And now, the effects of the dry season can already be felt in the nation's economic capital, just like in most parts of Cameroon, as some Douala city dwellers have begun experiencing these changes on their daily lives. Now, curious to know more, our reporter Naivona would now go into the street to sample some opinions as she came back with the following compilation. Take a listen to her report.
The month of January is believed to be the peak of the dry season in Cameroon. The month is said to be the driest and warmest of the 12 months in a year, with temperatures varying from 26 degrees to 30.9 degrees centigrade yearly. The adverse effects of the dry season, such as dust, Hamilton winds, and varying temperatures, in addition to economic challenges like price hikes, poor road infrastructure, and a downward trend in business and commercial activities, all pose a hard time for the local population across the national territory. Douala denizens are not left out, as they have expressed their frustration on the effects of the dry season on their day-to-day activities. It has not been easy coping with the dry season. The dust, the heat, and bad roads, everything is just difficult to handle. The heat of the dry season has made life unbearable for me in particular. You can see I'm sweating even in the car. What more of when I'm on foot? The dust is not making things easier either. We are barely surviving. The dry season has come with a downward trend in business. Customers no longer come around as often as before. Even when they do, they complain about the state of things displayed outside because the dust has given it a terrible look. Considering the numerous challenges which a majority of Douala city dwellers encounter on a daily basis at the peak of this dry season, many have resorted to adopting certain habits and giving up on some in order to adapt with the times. As you can see, I am putting on a face mask because of the dust. I wear gloves as well in order not to expose myself to any health hazards. I no longer do sports often as I used to, because it stresses me playing football when the sun is overhead. That notwithstanding, the population is calling on authorities that be to look into the issue of poor road networks, which has over time aggravated the adverse effect of the dry season. It is the place of the government to see into it that we have good roads. We are therefore calling on powers that be to address this issue of roads inequalities. This way we won't feel the effects of the dry season as much as we do. While hoping the cry of the people is heard, denizens have been encouraged to devise ways of protecting themselves from the effects of the harsh climate.
That was Naiwana reporting there. You're still watching the 9:30 a.m. Prime Flash coming to you live from My Media Prime Television. Let's now talk health, as the month of January has been set aside to create awareness on the thyroid disease. And also, according to data from the Center for Disease Control, the CDC, the disease affects more than 1 billion people worldwide, with more than 60% of them not being aware of their status. Get details right ahead with Bukengo Wade.
Around the world, an estimated 1.6 billion people are expected to suffer from a type of thyroid disease in their lifetime, bearing many different types including Hashimoto's disease, Graves' disease, thyroiditis, toxic multinodular goiter, thyroid cancer, and more. This disease is borne by abnormality in thyroid function, such as metabolism control, body growth and development, as well as blood and energy circulation in the body, characterized by two main types, namely hypothyroidism, which is the low secretion of thyroid hormones, and hyperthyroidism, being the overproduction of the hormones. The disease is triggered by iodine deficiency, autoimmune disorder, drug therapy, inflammation of the thyroid gland and tissues, radiation treatment, surgery, nerve shocks, hormonal changes like menopause, pregnancy, miscarriage, as well as underlying diseases such as goiter, Graves' disease, and thyroiditis. Over time, thyroid disease can birth health complications like depression, kidney failure, low blood pressure and heart rate, constipation, decreased fertility, menstrual problem, complicated fetal development, cancer, liver failure, amongst others. With the prevalence being higher in women than men by 10 times, some common occurrences like fatigue, dry skin, muscle cramp, sweating, hair loss, sleeping difficulties, mood swings, weight loss, hunger, palpitations, swollen legs, and more, are some signs and symptoms to watch out for regarding thyroid disease. With more than 2,000 deaths recorded yearly and about 44,000 new thyroid cases recorded annually, every month of January set aside by health organization experts and personnel to help raise awareness regarding the disease in a bid to increase knowledge about methods of prevention and treatment, which include a healthy diet and lifestyle choices, liver detoxification, good sleep pattern, thyroid hormone replacement, radioactive iodine, medications as prescribed surgery, as well as early diagnosis as stated by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention so as to help reduce prevalence and new increased cases around the world.
Thank you, health reporter Bukengo Wadi. Now, let's talk sports-oriented stories as Mbami Modeste, the former indomitable Lions midfielder, as well as one of Saint Paris-Germain's star, is no more after suffering from a heart attack recently in France. In the next report coming up with Catherine where we are told that he came to the limelight in the late 90s and also played for the Dynamo FC here in Douala before his proud to international levels. Take a listen to his profiling with Catherine Congo in the next report.
Former Cameroon international midfielder who also represented Paris Saint-Germain, where he won 2 French Cup titles in 2004 and 2006, has died due to cardiac arrest on Saturday, January 7, 2023. The midfielder, who also represented Martial and won 38 caps for Cameroon between 2000 to 2009, scoring 5 goals, was part of the indomitable Lions team that won the 2000 Olympic Games at the age of 17, with the likes of Samuel Eto'o, now president of Fecafoot, Jeremy Njitap, Laurent Etame, among others. He was also part of the indomitable Lions team that reached the 2003 Confederation Cup finals before losing to France, a tournament that took the world by shock with the death of Cameroon's midfield maestro following a cardiac arrest. Mbami Modeste's career took him to Spain, China and Saudi Arabia before retiring in 2014. During his 16 years long professional playing career, the soccer player demonstrated his athletic progress and he gathered enormous fame. Reacting to his death, the president of the International Federation of Association Football FIFA, Gianni Infantino, has expressed remorse over the passing away of the Cameroon's international footballer, as he posted a rest in peace message on his Instagram page few hours after his death. It should be noted that Mbami first came into the limelight in the late 90s back in Cameroon, where he played for Dynamo of Douala. His death leaves the Cameroon football fraternity and rest of the world in shock, as the midfielder who dies at 40 leaves behind families, friends and loved ones to mourn him.
Still in sports, less than a year, Jean-Baptiste Bissek has been sacked as head coach of Cameroon's Elite One Giants Canon Sportif, and he had taken over the leadership of the club in August of 2022, while the club was preparing for the 2022-2023 football season, as the decision to sack him is reported to have been taken by the club's board and other staff members. We are also told that it should be recalled that Canon has only won 3 of the opening 10 games this season with 14 points earned, and this has been termed the club's worst result since their return to the Elite One Championship in 2018. Meanwhile, the Elite 2 games are on the way and are producing dramatic and yet fairly good results. We keep on talking sports now with Magdala Ayong-Bisong, who tells us in the next report coming up that in less than 4 days to go, Africa would begin vibrating again to the rhythm of the 2022 African Nations Championship scheduled for Algeria. Today, we take a look at the defending champions, of course, as Morocco and also Angola, and their history during the tournament, as she tells us more in this report.
Defending champions of the African Nations Championship, Morocco, will be making a 5th participation in the competition, scheduled to run from January 13 in Algeria this year. Morocco joined host nation Algeria and Libya as one of the 3 nations qualified from the Northern Zone. Just like the hosts, they automatically gained qualification to the final phase of the competition, as they were the only teams to have engaged. Being the defending champions, Morocco is arguably a big name as far as the competition is concerned. Morocco holds the record for the highest number of CHAN titles alongside DR Congo after grabbing 2 each. They defeated Mali 2-0 in the 2020 final, becoming the first nation to win back-to-back titles after their 2018 victory against Nigeria on home soil. This will be the country's fifth CHAN participation in Algeria after making their debut in 2014. And in that edition of the competition, Morocco reached the quarterfinals after winning 1 out of 4 games, lost 1 and drew 1, and eventually came out top of their pool. Given that the Confederation of African Football have increased the number of teams to 18 with 5 groups of 4 and 3 nations, Morocco is placed in Group C alongside Madagascar, Sudan, and Ghana. 53-year-old coach Hussein Amota is the man to lead the Atlas Lions of Morocco to Algeria. He has been in charge of the A Lions since 2020, and it was under his reign that Morocco emerged champions of the CHAN 2020 in Cameroon for the second consecutive time, a competition where he was eventually awarded overall best coach of the tournament. And now talking about Angola, who are also one of the participants of this year's edition of the CHAN in Algeria. Angola will be making their 4th appearance at the African Nations Championship when the 7th edition of the competition gets on the way this Friday. It's no doubt Angola had a tough ride on their way to picking one of the 3 tickets to represent the South Zone in Algeria. But then 46-year-old Portuguese tactician Pedro Soares Gonçalves, who is the man in charge of the Angolan senior national team, ensured that his boys pick up one of the available tickets to the CHAN. Angola has featured in 3 CHAN competitions so far and will be making their 4th appearance. They were part of the competition in 2011 in Sudan, where they recorded their best performance ever, Rwanda in 2016, where they were ousted in the group stage, and Morocco in 2018, where they reached the quarterfinals. They have missed out on 3 editions. That was in 2009, the maiden edition, 2014, and in 2020, which was hosted by Cameroon. Angola have been paired in Group D alongside last year's runner-up Mali and Mauritania. And so their campaign begins on January 16.
Thank you there, Magdala Eyong-Beats. And just to add to what's making headline news in the world of sports, the Intermediate Lions of Cameroon have also ended their last friendly with a 2-0 victory over Sudan as the match took place at the Jemal Municipal Stadium in Tunisia. Meantime, Cameroon recorded a 1-1 tie in the 2 previous games against Uganda and Ivory Coast as the African Nations, or during the African Nations Championship, which is scheduled to take place on January the 13th of this year. Let's now talk news out of the country, where gunmen have abducted more than 30 people at a railway in Nigeria. According to reports, the attackers opened fire before abducting passengers who were waiting for a train to Warri, further south. It should be recorded that in 2022, that's March, gunmen had once blown up in the section or a section of the railway that also had to disrupt the flow of movement, where dozens of passengers were also taken hostage. That concludes today's edition of Prime Flash. Thank you for watching. The news has been produced by Modika, Elvis. I have been Dolly, Ngonde on the anchor, and it was coordinated by Faith Dota. General supervision came from Kim Leonard at exactly 10 a.m. Cameroon time. The brief is coming up with Lasha Kingsley and co-hosts. Many more interesting programs will be yours. Catch you at 11 o'clock with me, still on In the House.
Oh yeah, yeah, man.